Hi friends, it's Grace and welcome back to another video. Today I am going to be talking about SPFBO 10, better known this year as Spiffbox, and this is my video that I want to do to introduce all of the books that I'm going to be reading for the first round of this competition. So to take a step back, I was recently featured in a video on Cassidy's channel from Covers with Cassidy, and I'm going to have that video linked down in my description because Cassidy did a whole video introducing her team for Spiffbox and essentially kind of explaining how the competition works, how she runs her team, and everything like that. So all of that information is in her video, but also I am going to link a video that Mel did from Mel Lenore Reads because she was the first that I saw to do this video introducing her books, and I just thought it was a great idea, and I just wanted to let everybody get a bit familiar with the things that I'm going to be reading. I am hoping to do vlogs for these books. That is my goal. So I'll include multiple books in the same vlog, but just to give you a little taste of what to expect from me, and I just loved Mel's idea for that. So I am duplicating it essentially, and I'm going to let you know what I'm going to be reading. Now, we were able to sort of rank the books that we were the most interested in out of the 30 that Cassidy's team got allotted, and I was actually really lucky in that I feel like I got mostly books that I ranked pretty highly that I was interested in reading, and so I'm looking forward to a lot of these, but I'm not going to talk about them in the order that I ranked them, I guess. I'm actually going to talk about them in the order of longest to shortest because that is the order that I'm planning to read them in. This is just a personal thing because we need to read them and give Cassidy a semi-finalist in the next few months, and so I personally just like to get the longer stuff done so that I'm not putting a ton of pressure on myself if I'm getting close to the deadline, knowing that I have a really long book left to read. I would prefer to have some of the shorter books left to read, but that's just me. So I'm just going by the page counts that are given on Goodreads for these books, and I'll give you a little bit about them and kind of where they're sitting in terms of recognition right now, because some of these books have some ratings already and have had some eyes on them, and some of them really don't. So SPFBO is going to be this book's chance to get some eyes on it. So there is one book that does not have a page count on Goodreads, so that just Goodreads sorts it to the bottom. So we'll just do it in that order, and let's start off. So first up, we have Blood of the Stars by Karine Norton, and this comes in at 692 pages, and it was published on March 7th, 2024, so quite recently, but even in saying that, it already has 62 ratings and 43 reviews on Goodreads, and a 4.48 average rating. So all of that is really awesome, and that actually makes me really happy for the author because I wasn't familiar with Karine Norton before. I don't know if this author has a good social media platform that supports them, but that's just a great number to have for only the first few months of publication. So I'm really looking forward to getting to this one. It does very much seem like sort of a classic expansive fantasy world. It looks like a dual perspective. The tagline for the book is "Harnessing the power in her blood could turn the tides of the war if it doesn't destroy her first." So one of our main characters is Prince Garin, and he has a past where he had a childhood friend who he swore to protect that he lost. I don't know if she was kidnapped or it doesn't really say, but he is haunted by this. He searches for her, but his kingdom is facing threats not only from rebels, but also from a priestess, and he is basically torn between these priorities. And then we also have the lost childhood friend, Aliana, maybe. And it says that she is desperate to be rid of the chaotic magic in her blood, and her captors, so I guess she was kidnapped, her captors use it to ravage the land, and she is actually found by the rebels that are fighting against the crown, and she decides to join them in order to rescue her mother, but her power attracts attention, and she has to learn to control it, and everything kind of goes from there. So this honestly sounds like it could be exactly like the type of thing something that I would like, because it sounds like it has a pretty complex plot going on, and as long as these two characters that we're following are characters that I can get invested in and buy into, I think that I'm really going to enjoy this one. The second longest book on my list, coming in at 642 pages, is The Oathsworn Legacy by K.R. Ganji, and this one has 7 ratings and 3 reviews with a 5-star, and it was published on October 30th of 2023. So this is one where like those numbers are kind of low in terms of like eyes that have seen the book, and so I hope that this competition can be good for this one, and obviously I really hope that I like this book. But in terms of what The Oathsworn Legacy is actually about, it looks like we've got 2 main characters, Raleigh and Balin, and they seem like they kind of have a role as like monster slayers and evil slayers, like they might be hunters, and that's how they make their money. So they I guess they're kind of doing their job, and it says that they discover a sinister secret hidden deep within the crevices of Centrum's past, and centuries of lies and deceit unravel before them, and they soon shift from mere mercenaries to a force that will last generations. Now, this is interesting. This is sort of like a tagline for the book as well. It's at the end of the synopsis. It says, dwarves in the west, Rotman in the north, elves in the east, and a tyrant king ruling with an oppressive fist. Raleigh and Balin balance on the precipice of total chaos. So this is sort of in a similar way to Blood of the Stars. This sounds like a fantasy world that sort of has a lot to dig into when it comes to the world and like different warring factions and different things that are going on to create that complex setting and complex plot, like especially with all of those things being listed. Like you've got this in the east, this in the west, like a tyrant king, like all of these things, as long as they're balanced well, I think that this could be a combination that I really enjoy. And especially something that I love is when characters discover like centuries old secrets that change their lives, like change the way they view the entire world and could maybe change the course of the world as well. So The Oathsworn Legacy is one that I'm really looking forward to as well. Apparently, I just chose some fairly chunky books because the next one on the list is The Black Crown by John A. Douglas, and this one comes in at 624 pages, and it was published on November 13th of 2023. So again, fairly recent. This one has 28 ratings and 15 reviews with a 3.79 on Goodreads. So that is the sort of rating where it's always interesting to me because it really could kind of go either way. Like when you see a rating that's not astronomically high, I always think, well, there's still a chance I could really enjoy this, because it really depends on what it was that other people didn't care for versus like the people that really liked it, what they liked about it. So who's to say, really? Okay, so this one actually has a little bit of a lengthy synopsis, but just to make an even shorter synopsis of the synopsis, it seems like this book focuses on the aftermath of this event where the crown, like the rulers, had a mass slaughter of orcs, and they basically like defeated them and returned peace to their continent. But this is a generation later, and there were a ton of half-orc, half-human bastards that were still left from the war, and one of them is Prince Ragoth, who is our favorite character. Our main character could be our favorite character, who knows, we'll see. But it says that after 17 years, Ragoth is forced out of his life of comfort and into exile before he can receive this magical mark that proves his royal birth. So he is forced out, unable to prove who he is, and he has to go on a quest to find his father's tribe. So I guess obviously orcs still exist, but they've been pushed to the fringes of society, and he needs to go find them, and he obviously finds some other people to join his crew along the way. Who knows whether this will have like found family vibes or like reluctant allies, like forced allies vibes. So it says that this is a coming of age epic fantasy, and it does sound very interesting. I haven't read a ton of stuff with orcs before, especially not like, I guess what you would call traditional fantasy, because of course I've read Legends and Lattes, but cozy fantasy I feel like lends itself very differently to what the depictions of an orc might be if you have more of like a darker or violent type of fantasy. So we will see how that goes. This does sound quite interesting, and it definitely has a lot of potential for me to like it, so hopefully I do. Book number 4, coming in at 571 pages, is Ritual Income by B.L. Brown, and this one was published on October 23rd, 2023. So I've got a bunch of books here that were published kind of within like a 2-week span of each other, which is pretty interesting. This one has 58 ratings, 27 reviews, and a 4.02 average rating. So that is pretty solid. This one says, every witch has her way. Milla is a witch who wants to hide. Grieving the loss of her mentor, she retreats to St. Augustine, where her only goals are to run her antique store and tend her domain into obscurity. But CROW, which is an acronym like CROW, has other plans for the formerly wicked witch. She is saddled with a new apprentice, and she's trying to get rid of an insurance adjuster being sent to observe her. And it says that some multi-level marketing people set their sights on her, intent on burning her store to the ground, and the domain is being threatened. And it's just kind of like a bunch of, like, this very much gives me cozy vibes, and in a way very similar to Legends and Lattes, because it very much seems that, like, when we reference a formerly wicked witch, we have a main character here who has left behind a life that was very different from the one that she wants to live now. So this is one where I see a lot of potential for me to really enjoy this. It seems like it's a lot of fun. I really like witchy things. I think that the trepidation comes in where 571 pages seems like quite a long page count for this kind of idea, this more like cozier, fun leaning story about like a witch who wants to protect her lands, essentially. But obviously there is a lot of like buzzwords here that I do think that I like, so I'm really hoping that that 571 pages doesn't feel overly long and that it just turns out well for me. Next up, we have A Contract in Soulforn by Elan Marche and Christopher Warman, and this one was published on February 1st, 2023, so this is the oldest one that we've seen so far, and this one comes in at 443 pages. So we've finally, it took like 5 books, but we've finally dropped out of that like 600, 500 page range. This is more of a mid-range one. I did choose like, I don't know, 4 kind of chunky books, so hopefully I do okay with these. But A Contract in Soulforn sounds very interesting to me. This is a standalone fantasy adventure featuring djinn, dangerous wishes, political factions, and militias. It says, a djinn, a boy, a terrible contract. I wouldn't have asked for that if I knew I could ask for anything. So we have Valen, who is an ancient djinn on a quest to seek the artifact that she is enslaved to, and her centuries-long journey lands her in a port city that is Soulforn, the setting for the story, and she is certain that the artifact is here, and she meets Doravin, who I'm assuming is our other main character. It says that this is a youth from a dissolved noble house, and they have an initial connection, but their bond becomes one that may endanger the entire cycle of nature. So maybe this is just because, like, whenever we talk about djinn and we talk about like ancient artifacts and stuff like that, I get a little bit of Daevabad trilogy vibes. Like, this doesn't really sound that similar, but who knows, because I just kind of like those buzzwords, and if it's anything like that, I'm probably gonna really enjoy it. So this just sounds really, really interesting to me. And I actually I think I forgot to mention this, but it has 38 ratings, 19 reviews, and a 4.26. So obviously other people have been liking it too, and I think that this is one where it'll depend on the writing and the way the relationship between these two characters is written, and then if that is strong, I think I'll probably really like it. The 6th book on my list is Fires of Caprika by Mandy Odell, and this one comes in at 436 pages, and this, just looking at the date published, is probably going to be the oldest one on my list, I would think, because this was August 19th, 2021. So that is getting close to 3 years ago, but it's pretty cool that now it will be in this competition, because currently it has 31 ratings and 10 reviews for a 4.48 average rating. So that is a great average rating, and maybe we can get some more readers to pick this up because I think this one sounds very unique and interesting. So this one says, I was a physician's assistant, then I became his experiment. Caprika, the city in this book, is hunted by the tigers that roam the canals at night searching for food, and from a fever that leaves no survivors, until me. So our main character, I believe, is not named since this synopsis is written in first person, but it says that I was left with scars and unusual change to my eyes. I hide myself in the hospital ward, tending to patients that I know will die where I had lived. I am no longer the beautiful girl that haunted the dreams of the Grand Duke. So we have quite a interesting character here, where clearly we have a character who lived a maybe illustrious life and then caught this fever, but survived and has caught the attention of another, the Jackal, who is a thief stealing from the nobles. And with his help, I grow strong enough to walk the canals at night, bringing hope to those who have no access to medicine. So this is very interesting. Yeah, it says that our main character is still fighting for her life. Sorry, the way that this synopsis is written is very good when you read it on the page, but for me trying to translate it into like a short summary of what the book is about, I'm struggling clearly. But this one just, it does sound very unique because I feel like there's not a lot of books that you read that focus on a character who experiences or survives like a plague or a virus. Like, I think that plagues can be a fairly common theme or feature that you might see in a book, but I think it's less common to explore somebody who is dealing with that firsthand. So I'm looking forward to seeing the way that this is written. I think that I stumble a little bit more over first person in general than I do third person, so I'm hoping that that doesn't throw me off at all because I'm really hoping to like this. Next up, we have Millennium of the Ocean Serpent by Seth Hobbs, and this one comes in at 343 pages, and it was published on July 1st of 2023. So this has 17 ratings and 15 reviews for an average rating of 3.94, which is not bad at all, but this one is the one that I am the most nervous about, and the reason for it isn't even so much about what the plot of the book is supposed to be. It's the fact that this is a prequel. So logically speaking, like, you could read this because in world order these events would have happened before the events of like this author's other series, but the synopsis kind of starts with, you know, the story of the Sendine Empire trilogy, and I'm kind of like, no, I actually don't know the story. So this one is one that, like, I'm keeping an open mind with. I'm very open to the fact that I may enjoy it. That's the only part that I am a little bit worried about, is my lack of knowledge going into it. But then again, it is only 343 pages, so probably not a difficult read. And this has, honestly, it has a very, very long synopsis with a lot of names and definitely a wide swath of like locations. Like, it seems to me that islands and continents and different places in this world are all involved in this. It says, like, delve into the rich, enthralling history of this universe and learn the esoteric origins of your favorite families and characters in this first entry to the prequel trilogy. So again, like, this has the potential to be very, very interesting, but if it relies on me knowing who people from the main trilogy are, I'm not going to have that. So I think that really we are just going to see how this one goes and hope for the best. Next up, we have what seems like an odd little book, but one that intrigues me very much, and I didn't say that it was odd on purpose. However, it is called Odd and Ed, and this one came out June 8th, 2021, and it has only 232 pages long, so fairly short. We're into the short ones now, and this has 34 ratings and 21 reviews for a 3.71 average rating. Now, 3.7 is still decent, don't get me wrong, but I have a feeling, reading the synopsis of this book, that this might just be like not the type of book for everyone, just a little bit polarizing. So I thought the synopsis sounded really interesting, and I'm just hoping that I fall on the side of people who really enjoy this book. So this says, in a moment of desperation, Odd pressed the button set deep in the wood of the scare box and unknowingly pushed Ed's soul out of his body. For some reason, Ed's body can still walk and talk, but it isn't behaving like Ed, and it refuses to leave the graveyard. Thrown into the supernatural currents running under her small town, Odd soon learns that her only ally may be Loney Scrobe, a strange classmate of hers who's surrounded by dark and disturbing rumors. Odd's not sure if she can trust Loney, but her brother's life hangs in the balance, and she only has one night to put him back together again. So this is said to be creepy, funny, frightening, and told deftly from a child's perspective, that it's haunting and heartfelt suburban dark fantasy. And it's set in the 1980s. So this is not obviously exactly the same, but it makes me think of Ocean at the End of the Lane, like told from a child's perspective, dark, haunting, heartfelt, obviously not set in the 1980s, I don't think, and not suburban, but like a lot of those key features, like if they're done in this book in the way that I love, like I could really love it because it does give me those vibes. So we'll see, because really I think that this has a high chance that I could really love it. Next up, we have A Rose Among Thorns by Ash Fitzsimmons, and this one is coming in at only 187 pages, and it was published on April 19th, 2022. This one has 37 ratings and 10 reviews for an average rating of 4.41. So really, that is quite good as well. But this is another one where I think that those numbers are going to start going up a lot more, hopefully, during this competition, because 37 ratings and 10 reviews. It was published 2 years ago, so hopefully we can get more eyes on it. Now, this synopsis, the A Rose Among Thorns title is very tongue-in-cheek here because our main character is named Rose Thorn, and the synopsis says, nobody said anything about an attack vine. Rose Thorn should never be left unsupervised around plants. Potted things tend to die around her as if on principle. But when her great aunt calls and asks Rose to watch her garden nursery for a few days, Rose can hardly say no. After all, Aunt Lily is the closest thing Rose has to a grandmother, and the only family she has left. So Rose doesn't mind driving out to her tiny mountain town to look after the place. Aunt Lily never mentioned anything about an inspection, however. So from here, the story seems to take off where this inspection agency arrives. Rose knew nothing about it, and they find that Aunt Lily is gone, and Aunt Lily hasn't really totally been honest with Rose, and Rose doesn't really know the situation, and it seems like her Aunt Lily is on the run, and everything from there. So this seems like it's very kind of on the cozier side. It's sort of like magical family secrets, like maybe cozy is not the right word, but I do feel like this could be a comfort read depending on the way that the tone takes. And it is quite short, so it could be a little bit breakneck, like it could be a fast-paced plot, which I don't think I would hate for something like this. So I do think that this one could be really fun, and I hope that I like it. Now, the last book on my list, this is the one that does not have a page count on Goodreads, but it is also by far the most popular on Goodreads. So this is Oak King, Holly King by Sebastian Nothwell, and this was first published on February 14th, 2022, which is a very appropriate date because this is a romance, and this one has 577 ratings and 150 reviews for an average rating of 3.93, which is very solid because when you have that many people and it essentially has a 4-star, that just tells me that like this has my baseline expectation is that it's going to be a really good book. So I am quite looking forward to this. And this says, Shrike, the Butcher of Blackthorn, is a legendary warrior of the Fey realms. When he wins a tournament in the Court of the Silver Wheel, its queen names him her Oak King, a figurehead destined to die in a ritual duel to invoke the changing of the seasons. Shrike is determined to survive, even if it means he must put his heart as well as Thomas's life into a mere mortal's hands. Now our other character, it says, Wren Lofthouse, a London clerk, has long ago resigned himself to a life of tedium and given up his fanciful dreams. When a medieval-looking brute arrives at his office to murmur of destiny, he's inclined to think his old enemies are playing an elaborate prank. Still, he can't help feeling intrigued by the bizarre yet handsome stranger and his fantastical ramblings, whose presence stirs up emotions Wren has tried to lock away in the withered husk of his heart. As Shrike whisks, oh my gosh, that's like a tongue twister. As Shrike whisks Wren away to a world of wild hunts and arcane rites, Wren is freed from the repression of Victorian society, but both the Fae and mortal realms prove treacherous to their growing bond. Wren and Shrike must fight side by side to see who will claim victory, Oak King or Holly King. So honestly, this one just sounds great to me. Like, there's nothing not to like. I am really happy that I have kind of a fae romance in here that strikes me as more of like a cozy or like straight up romance type romance, I guess, because there's obvious fantasy elements in here, and it obviously is a fantasy novel, but it seems to me that the romance is going to be the main plot line, and just with the way that this is framed, I'm really looking forward to that personally, and I think that I'm really going to enjoy this one. So I didn't intentionally save one of the best for last, but I do think that this has a high potential for me to love it, and I'm really hoping that I do. So those are all 10 of the books that I am reading for the first round of Spiffbox, and like I mentioned earlier, I will be attempting to vlog maybe like 2 or 3 of these books at a time. I don't know how long that will last because vlogging is always a little bit hard for me to organize. Like I get overwhelmed sometimes with all of the clips that I would need to take to vlog over such a long period of time, but I am going to try and I'm going to do my best. And so I think that on a parting note, all I want to say is that if any of these books sound interesting to you, even though I haven't read them yet, I would absolutely encourage you to check them out, because the whole point of this competition is to get more people seeing these self-pub books and to support these self-pub authors. So you may as well give them a shot, just like any other book that you saw in the bookstore. Like, if you think it sounds interesting, then go ahead and try it out. I think that a lot of these, I haven't totally checked, but I think that a lot of these are decently priced on Amazon, like for the Kindle editions. So you never know. It's always worth a shot. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you are going to stick around to see me review these, and hopefully I really like them. I know that not all 10 can be a win, and who knows what will be and who knows what won't be, but I'm really hoping to like the majority of these. So here's hoping, and that is going to be it for this video. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you are interested in seeing more content from me. As always, I'll have my Discord and other socials linked in the description if you're interested in any of that stuff, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye!